the page in your math notebook. You're just writing down that top part. It says new attribute, sides of equal length. That's going to be what we're talking about today. We're going to be focusing on that new attribute, which is a shape that has sides with equal length. I'm going to have you add in a word that I forgot. You can put a little caret in there. All sides of equal length. So we're looking at a shape that has all sides that are the same length. Cole, what's up, friend? Are you just stretching? With a shape that has every single side being the same length, go ahead and underline equal length. If we hear words like equal length, we're looking at shapes that have the same length. So if one side of my shape is for 4 inches, that means the other sides are also for 4 inches. I could measure them, and they would all have the same length. There are 2 shapes that have this attribute, this rule for them to be a shape. Can you think about what those shapes might be? Anyone have any idea of what shape that might be? Emma?
Square.
A square is one of them. What's that other shape? This is not one that you probably spend a lot of time with. Jordan, you remember it?
A rhombus?
It is a rhombus. We're going to talk more about a rhombus. So if you're not sure what a rhombus is, now you know that a rhombus has to have all 4 sides having the same length.
Rhombus.
So now you know that a rhombus, all 4 of its sides also have the same length, similar to a square. Lydia, what's up?
I thought a rhombus was a square, just like tilted.
It can be. We're going to talk about that in a second. Alright, so we're going to make a T-chart. If you go down the rest of your page, we've got 2 shapes there. We know we've got a T-chart. Go ahead and list that T-chart. You can go ahead and draw. I think most of you know this would be our square. And then this shape over here is a rhombus. Give it your best shot at drawing what they look like, and then we're going to make a T-chart that goes down the rest of the page. Because we're going to kind of compare them.
Sorry.
It's going to be similar to a parallelogram, where you will make, I like to make the top and bottom first, and then connect them. All right, first things first, we just talked about how both of these have the same attribute of all 4 sides being equal. So underneath square, we're going to write all sides are equal. And we're going to do the same thing for rhombus. We just learned that. Both of those have that as an attribute. What else do we notice with either the square or the rhombus? Think about the rules that we've learned so far. Would any of those rules fit those shapes? I should see eyes on the board, please. Think about the rules that we've learned so far. Would any of the rules fit those shapes? Brogan?
Parallel sides.
Be more specific.
Each one has parallel sides.
Be more specific.
Parallel sides don't touch.
Parallel sides do not touch, but we need to be specific because remember, some shapes can have 2 sets and some shapes can have 1 set. We can't just say parallel lines.
Both of them have 2 sets.
Okay, so we know that a square has 2 sets of parallel lines. When you're describing parallel lines, you got to describe the sets. I was reading over some of your riddles that you made yesterday with the sub, and some of you just wrote that they have parallel sides. We need to be more specific. Does it have one set? Does it have two sets? Does it have three sets?
I said it had one.
One set. Perfect. Show me with your arms the sets of parallel sides on the square. On the square. So we've got up and down, that's one set, and top and bottom, that's the other set. Now Brogan said that that's true for the rhombus. If it's true for the rhombus, show me the parallel sides on the rhombus. Good, I see diagonals, and I see up and down. So again on rhombus, we're going to write two sets of parallel lines. What are some other attributes that these shapes have? Think about the attributes we've learned so far. Well, this would be a really good time for you to pay attention, friend. What else would be a rule that a square would have to follow or a rhombus would have to follow? Julian, what do you think?
It has four square corners.
Which one?
Square.
Does a rhombus? Interesting. Julian's remembering. The other day we talked about square corners. Square corners are ones that squares can fit perfectly in. Look at that square. Can I draw a perfect square in all of those corners? Yeah, so underneath square, we're going to write all square corners. What about a rhombus? No, those are not square corners because I can't put a perfect square in there. They would either be squished or stretched out. Maverick, are you thinking of another rule that these shapes have?
Yeah.
Go for it.
4 corners and 4 sides.
Yeah, we could call both of these shapes. I'm going to shorthand that, and I'm just going to call them quadrilaterals. If you want to write out 4 sides, 4 corners, you can. But quadrilateral is like the shortcut way of doing that.
And a parallelogram.
Sure. So we know that they're both quadrilaterals. Now, Bowen brought up a good point. He said they're both, did you say they're both parallelograms?
Yeah.
What evidence do you have, Bowen, that they're both parallelograms?
They have 2 sets of parallel lines.
And, remember there's 2 rules to be a parallelogram.
And all sides are equal.
What's that other rule to be a parallelogram?
Oh, 4 sides of some corners.
There you go. So I want you to circle 2 sets of parallel lines and quadrilateral. There's 2 rules to being a parallelogram. Those are them. So Bowen is exactly correct. I could call both of these shapes parallelograms. Whoops, I didn't leave enough room for that one. Because they both follow the same rules as a parallelogram. Holy parallelogram gets hard to write after a while.
It does.
We're starting to notice that some of these shapes have multiple names. So, for instance, let's look at that square shape again. I'm going to see, is a square a rhombus? And most of you might be thinking, well, no, Miss Willie, those are not the same shapes. But let's go through the rules, Paxton.
No, they're not.
Do squares, Cole, have all sides that are equal?
No.
Wait, yes.
Yeah. Do squares have two sets of parallel lines?
Yes.
Do squares have quadrilateral, or is a square a quadrilateral?
Yes.
So could I call a square
Yeah.
a rhombus?
And a rhombus is
Could I call every rhombus a square?
No.
Because it doesn't have.
I'm loving Bowen and Lydia raising their hands not to tell me their thoughts. Go for it, Bowen. Why can I not call every single rhombus, like this one, a square?
Because not every rhombus is the same shape.
Not every rhombus. What's that other rule that it's missing? Especially this shape right here.
Not all of them have parallels. Two
Ooh.
sets of
They
parallels.
do all have parallel sides.
Not two sets.
They do all have two sets.
Huh?
We're missing one attribute, though. See if you can find it over
They-
here.
Don't all have sides are equal. Not all of them. All of them are parallelogram.
Oh, they are parallelograms. Keep going. You're so close.
One.
They don't always have square corners. A square always has to have square corners. But a rhombus, like this one, that doesn't have any square corners, so I can't call that shape a square. There are other shapes that follow this relationship, right? We know all of these shapes can be called quadrilaterals, right? But because of their rules, they have other names too. Jordan, what's up, friend?
I think in our book we read yesterday, I think it said all squares are rhombuses, but not all rhombuses are squares.
Is that true?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, it is. So let's think about that. He said all squares are rhombuses. Connor, are you with me?
Yeah.
So he's saying all of these shapes can be called a rhombus. Do all of those sides, all of those shapes have equal sides?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that shape have two sets of parallel lines?
Yeah.
Does that shape is a quadrilateral?
Yeah.
Yeah. All squares can be called rhombuses. They follow the rules.
And I've already broken.
But not all rhombuses
All squares.
can be squares. Because if I draw a rhombus like that, is that a square?
No.
No, it's missing that square corner piece. Rogan, what's up? What we're going to do is sometimes it's easier to think about how these shapes are related by thinking of them as a family tree. So go ahead and turn to the next blank page, and I want you to title it Shape Family Tree. Connor, whatever you're playing with, please put it away. So our great-great-grandpa of shapes is a shape called a polygon. A polygon is anything that has straight sides and is closed. Straight sides and is closed. That's the rules to be a polygon. No, Marley, not one. Teaching math.
Polygon.
So, in this category of polygon, we see shapes like that. A triangle. Is a triangle a polygon? Yeah, it has straight sides and it's closed. We see shapes like quadrilaterals. That's okay. It's going to stay on the board. We see quadrilaterals. And I wrote that because we already know that quadrilaterals could look very different.
So almost every shape is a polygon,
Almost.
except for a circle.
Except for a circle. Very good.
Oval.
And an oval. Good. Because it doesn't have those straight sides. You might see a shape that looks like this. Raise your hand to tell me what this shape is called. Emma?
A pentagon.
Pentagon. Remember that prefix penta means 5.
I didn't know this because it didn't let me talk with my name.
And then we're going to just say ETC. There's many shapes that would belong in polygon.
What does that stand for?
Etc. It's Latin for and so on and so on. So there's many different shapes that can go into the polygon family. Quadrilaterals are one of them, which means every quadrilateral that we've learned about, could I also call it a polygon? Yeah, you could. That would not be wrong. But we're going to focus on the quadrilaterals. From there, we have two main categories. Well, I guess I should say three main categories. We've got quadrilaterals with no parallel sides. Can someone draw what that might look like? No parallel sides. Marley, think you can draw it? Draw it right underneath no parallel sides.
Top of what she does.
Unless you want to draw another shape that has no parallel sides. Does that have no parallel sides? Yeah, that weird arrow shape.
Looks like a star trek.
Sure. If you want to draw a different shape that has no parallel sides, do it on your paper. Or you could copy the one Marley drew, that's fine. So that's one version of a quadrilateral. We have another version which has one set of parallel sides. There's a specific shape that goes in there. Kind of a unique shape. Smile, do you remember the name of that shape? I think you got a notebook in front of you. What's the name of a shape that has one set of parallel lines? If you're not sure, there's a notebook in front of you that can help you. Addison, you remember it?
Yes.
What is it called?
It's called a triangle.
It is not called a triangle because a triangle does not have one set of parallel lines. Cole, you remember?
Trapezoid.
A trapezoid. Can you draw one version of a trapezoid? Because we've learned that a trapezoid can look different. Try not to put your wrist on the board when you're drawing. Can you do it underneath?
Oh, right here?
Yep. Good. So there's one version of the trapezoid. But we know there's more than one version. Oh, what's another version look like? Before you do the other one?
Yeah.
Right next to Cole's.
Okay.
Yeah, with the diagonal sides. Very good. Go ahead and draw both typical versions next to one set of parallel lines. Then we got one more category. I bet you can guess what it is.
Two sets.
Two sets. We're going to label these. I forgot to label them. You can write it in there if you want. We've got trapezoid. Just so we remember what those are called.
I don't have enough room.
Avery, cut a little flat, please. Okay. Okay. Connor, what's up, friend? Well, there's many things that go in that. Right? What is the name of a shape that is a polygon, a quadrilateral? A polygon is anything with straight sides and no holes. And has two sets of parallel sides. Those are the only rules. We know there's lots of shapes that follow those three rules, But if I'm only talking about those three, what's the name of that shape? Ava?
A square.
Nope, that's going to have other rules. You're right, it does follow that category, but it's got other rules to follow. What's the name when it only has those rules? Brogan, do you remember?
Rectangle.
Nope, that's got other rules to follow. Mason, do you remember? Pentagon has 5 sides. We're in quadrilateral land. Emma, do you remember?
A parallelogram.
A parallelogram. That really long word we've been writing today. Parallelogram.
I got easier right there.
I think we can draw. Oh, a parallelogram. Oh, I'm not asking for a parallelogram that's also a square. I'm not asking for a parallelogram that's also a rectangle. I want just parallelogram. If you're not sure, look in your notebook. I'm loving people looking back and making sure they know how to do it. Emma, you think you got it? Do it right underneath the word parallelogram, please. Yep. Yep, you got it. Perfect. We made that top and bottom slightly off, and then we connected the sides. Go ahead and draw that parallelogram. This one is not a rhombus, but it could be, because the rhombus would fit in this category, but we're going to keep talking about that for a second.
Oh, I draw.
But not every rhombus has equal sides.
Well, actually, everyone was.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
Yeah.
a rhombus does have all equal sides.
There are other shapes that look like rhombuses.
All right, we're going to keep going in our family tree. We're not going to go any farther here, because that's pretty much it. We're not going to go any farther with our trapezoids, because that's pretty much it. But we're going to go down to parallelograms. So I'm going to make a new parallelogram bar.
Oh, I have no more space.
If you need to turn the page and do a new parallelogram bar, that's okay. Nice. I'm going to clean up this side a little bit for you, Jordan. Yeah, we've got, in our parallelogram family tree, we've got 2 special rules. Sides that have all square corners, or sorry, shapes that have all square corners, and shapes that have all equal sides. We have one shape that does all of it, and that is a square. Go ahead and draw a square right in the middle. That's the special shape that does it all. It's got all the rules.
Squares.
Can you think of another shape, though, that might go over here in all square corners? It doesn't have all equal sides, but it does have all square corners. Arthur, what's that shape called? Rectangle. Rectangle. You think you can draw it? Go ahead and draw it underneath all square corners, please. Awesome. So we've got our rectangle. No, not one. We've gone over this, please. And then our last shape is the one that we learned today. It's a shape that is a quadrilateral. It's also a parallelogram, and it has all equal sides. Lydia, what's the name of that shape?
A rhombus.
A rhombus. You think you can draw a rhombus? I know things with all equal sides are hard to draw. Sure. Be careful drawing them like this, because sometimes you accidentally draw a square. So I'm gonna just flip it a little bit, Lydia, just to make sure we're not drawing a square, if that's okay with you. I'm gonna draw it just like I do my parallelogram. Now, Lydia's not wrong. I can turn that sideways and it'd still be a rhombus. I just want to make sure she wasn't drawing a square. So we're gonna label it rhombus. Rhombus. Now, here's something really cool. I can call a square any of the names on this board, for the most part.
I can call a square rhombus.
I can call a square a rhombus. I can call a square a rectangle. Are all rectangles squares?
No.
But all squares are rectangles. I can call a square a parallelogram. Can I call a square a trapezoid though? No, it doesn't fit that. Can I call a square a quadrilateral?
Yes.
Can I call it a polygon?
Yes.
Can I call it a triangle?
No.
Squares have so many nicknames. So many nicknames. I can call it all of those other shapes because it follows those rules. So we're going to write one more thing. You're probably going to need to turn the page. This is the last thing we're going to be writing. Oops, I pushed the wrong button. Yep.
I know when my record chip.
A square. A square is a rectangle, but not all rectangles are, what would be the last word in that sentence?
Square.
A square can be called a rectangle. All of them. Every single square you ever see. You could say there's a rectangle, but every single rectangle you see cannot be called a square. But not all rectangles are squares.
Because they're different shapes.
Well, you're not writing, which is the problem.
Because rectangles don't have all the sides.
You wrote the whole set?
I wrote it.
We just learned this too. A square
It's half of a rectangle.
is a rhombus, but not all rhombi. Rhombi is the plural of rhombus, kind of like octopi is the plural of octopus. Nope, that would be English. Like square is a rhombus, but not all rhombi are squares.